Hi, today Ask F5 shows you how to configure the Big IP system to perform two-way SSL authentication using a Client SSL profile in the configuration utility. You should consider using this procedure when you want the Big IP system to encrypt application traffic using a Client SSL profile and when you want that Client SSL profile to perform two-way or mutual SSL authentication. SSL certificates protect application traffic by providing encryption, authentication, and message integrity. One-way authentication is the most common approach. In one-way authentication, when a client initiates an SSL connection to a protected application, the application sends its public SSL certificate to the client. The client validates that certificate by checking the signing certificate authority, or CA, against its trusted CA store. Upon a successful authentication, the connection is established. If the client cannot validate the certificate, the client stops the SSL handshake and abandons the connection attempt. Two-way authentication adds an additional layer of security. In a two-way SSL handshake, the protected application sends its public SSL certificate to the client for validation and also requests that the client send a client SSL certificate. Both the client and the application validate the certificates they receive by checking their respective trusted CA stores. If either the client side or the server side cannot validate the certificate it receives, it does not complete the SSL handshake and abandons the connection attempt. This demo focuses on configuring the Big IP system to use two-way authentication with a Client SSL profile. Before you begin the demonstrated procedures, make sure you meet these prerequisites. You have administrative access to the Big IP configuration utility. You have the application or website's SSL certificate and key. You have the CA certificate used to sign the client certificates. And you have a virtual server configured with associated pool members. In this demo, we'll import the server SSL certificate and key, import the CA signing certificate, create or update a client SSL profile for two-way authentication, associate the client SSL profile with the virtual server, import the client certificate into the web browser using a PFX file. This demo shows how to do this for Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, and Microsoft Edge. First, import the application or website SSL certificate and key so that the Big IP system can terminate SSL on behalf of your application. To do so, log into the configuration utility, go to System, Certificate Management, Traffic Certificate Management, SSL Certificate List, and then select Import. For import type, select Key. Make sure New is selected. For key name, enter a unique name for the SSL key. For key source, select either File Upload to upload the key from your workstation or Paste Text to paste the key content directly. Then select Import. On the SSL certificate page, under Name, select the newly imported key by name. On the Keys Detail page, select Import to import the corresponding SSL certificate. For certificate source, select either Upload or Paste Text and provide the certificate data. Select Import to complete the certificate import. Next, import the CA signing certificate that the Big IP system will use to validate client certificates. From the SSL certificate list, select Import. For import type, select Certificate. Ensure New is selected. For certificate name, enter a unique name for the CA signing certificate. For certificate source, select either Upload File or Paste Text and provide the CA certificate data. Then select Import. After you import the necessary SSL objects, configure the SSL profile for two-way authentication. You can configure this either in a strict manner using Require or more loosely using Request. The key options for two-way authentication in the SSL profile are the client certificate, which controls whether the Big IP system requires or only requests client certificates, trusted certificate authorities, which associates the CA certificate used to validate the client certificates, and advertised certificate authorities, optionally used to help clients select a certificate. If your client SSL profile is new, first associate the application or website SSL certificates and key with the profile. To do this, go to Local Traffic, Profiles, SSL, Client. If the client SSL profile already exists, select the profile name. If it doesn't, select Create. If you're creating, enter a unique name for the SSL profile. Under Configuration, for certificate keychain, select the custom checkbox and then select Add. For certificate and key, select the application or website certificate and key that you imported earlier. Select Add to attach the certificate keychain to the profile. Under Client Authentication, configure Client Authentication in the Client SSL profile so that the Big IP system performs two-way authentication. Note that if the client certificate option is set to require, SSL handshakes initiated by clients without a certificate signed by the trusted CA will fail. In the same Client SSL profile, under Client Authentication, for Client Certificate, select the custom checkbox and select either Require or Request. Require forces the client to present a valid certificate signed by a trusted CA before the handshake can complete. Request asks the client for a certificate but allows the handshake to continue even if the certificate is not signed by the trusted CA. Choose the option that matches your security requirements. For Trusted Certificate Authorities, select the custom checkbox and select the imported CA signing certificate that you want the Big IP system to use to validate client certificates. Optionally, for Advertised Certificate Authorities, select the custom checkbox and select the same imported CA certificate so that the Big IP system can advertise this CA to clients and help them select an appropriate certificate. Then select Finished. If your Client SSL profile is new, you must now associate it with a virtual server that handles your application traffic. To do so, go to Local Traffic, Virtual Servers, Virtual Server List. Under Name, select the virtual server for your application name. Under Configuration, locate the SSL Profile Client section. In the Available list, select the new SSL profile and move it to the selected list. Select Update to apply the profile to the virtual server. Finally, install the client certificate in the web browser's SSL certificate store using a Personal Information Exchange or PFX file. Note, if you set the client certificate option to require, attempt a new SSL connection before importing the client certificate to confirm that the connection fails as expected. The PFX file contains both the signed certificate and key and is usually password protected. In this procedure, we'll import the client certificate in Google Chrome on Windows. Note that on Mac OS, you would select Manage Imported Certificates from Mac OS and follow the Mac OS prompts. The remaining steps and procedures assume you are on Windows. Copy the PFX file to your local workstation, open the browser, and in the address bar, enter Chrome, Certificate Manager, Client Certs. Select Manage Imported Certificates from Windows. In the Certificate Manager window, select Import. Then select Next. Select Browse and go to the location of the PFX file on your workstation. If the file does not appear, change the file type filter to Personal Information Exchange. Select the PFX file and then select Open. Select Next. If the PFX file is password protected, enter the password and select Next. Confirm that the client certificate is in the Personal Certificate Store. Select Next and then select Finished to complete the import. To import the client certificate in Firefox, copy the PFX file to your local workstation. Open the browser and in the address bar, enter About, Preferences, hashtag, Privacy. Under Certificates in the Security section, select Manage Certificates. Make sure Your Certificates is selected at the top of the page. Select Import. If the file does not appear, change the file type filter to PKCS12 files. Select the PFX file and then select Open. If the PFX file is password protected, enter the password and select Sign In. Select OK to complete the import. To import the client certificate in Microsoft Edge browser, copy the PFX file to your local workstation. Open the browser and in the address bar, enter Edge, Settings, Privacy. Select Security. Select Manage Certificates. Under Windows, select Manage Imported Certificates from Windows. On the Personal tab, select Import. Then select Next. Browse and go to the location of the PFX file on your workstation. If the file does not appear, change the file type filter to Personal Information Exchange. Select the PFX file. Select Next. If the PFX file is password protected, enter the password. Select Next. Confirm that the client certificates are in the Personal Certificate Store. Select Next. Then select Finished. After you install the certificate, you should be able to access the website protected by two-way SSL on the Big IP system. If you experience SSL connectivity issues after importing the client certificate, refer to this article, linked below. That's it. If you have questions or comments, please send us an email. Thanks for watching.